Part 1. The Signal. By January 2025, America was at the edge of something unrecognizable. People spoke in cautious tones about the Directive 2025, a new piece of legislation that had passed in the wake of the 2024 elections, which granted the government vast surveillance powers and unprecedented authority over the society. Officials justified it as a response to the threat of lawlessness and the spread of woke mind virus. Most people knew better. It was a clampdown, a revenge, plain and simple. What unnerved people the most, though, was Gabriel, a cutting-edge AI network named after the archangel, ironically marketed as a protector of humanity's future. Developed by Vesla Group, Gabriel was promoted as the ultimate intelligence tool, one capable of autonomously identifying threat patterns in human behavior using real-time data from every smart device in the country. According to Directive 2025, Gabriel's purpose was to restore order, but rumors had spread that it had already begun quietly monitoring key individuals. Zach Martin of Pennsylvania was one of those flagged. Zach had no illusions about why he'd been marked. It was because of the signal. Just a few weeks ago, his wife, Beth, had given birth to a son they'd named John. What should have been a quiet miracle for an aging couple had quickly turned into something else. A strange magnetism. People, strangers, journalists, tech entrepreneurs had started messaging them, all drawn to the signal. It was as if John's birth had stirred something in them, a sense of longing, a desire to reconnect with parts of themselves they'd buried in a society of relentless efficiency and control. That evening, Zach sat in his home office, staring at the message on his screen. Gabriel has flagged you. Your presence is required at Vesla headquarters. Failure to report will result in consequences. Zach felt his pulse quicken. He knew what consequences meant. Refusing could bring a visit from the black-suited compliance teams he'd heard rumors about. He took a breath, stood up, and went to find Beth. She was sitting with John in her lap, watching the snow fall outside their window. "I have to go," he said quietly. She looked up at him, eyes full of the worry she hadn't voiced. "They're calling you in, aren't they?" He nodded. "They want to know why people keep coming here, and I'm guessing it has to do with Gabriel." Beth clutched John a little tighter, glancing down at their son. "He's special. I don't know why, but people see something in him, something they need." "I know," he said, feeling a strange, quiet resolve settle over him. "I'll go, but I won't let them touch him." She nodded, her face grim. "Be careful." Vesla Group's headquarters loomed in the center of Philadelphia, a dark, monolithic slab against the skyline. It was an ominous blend of reflective glass and cold steel, with seamless, minimalist edges that seemed to disappear into the gray winter sky. The building had no obvious branding, only a dimly glowing strip near the entrance, reading simply Vesla. Its design was stark, unapologetic, meant to evoke control rather than welcome. It was a reminder that Vesla Group and the AI network it controlled were everywhere and nowhere, all at once. Inside, Zach was escorted through a cavernous, silent lobby that seemed to absorb sound. Vast digital walls displayed abstract pulsing lights in an endless loop, adding to the disorienting sense of surveillance. His footsteps echoed as he was guided down a series of seamless corridors, each emptier than the last, devoid of any human touch. When they finally arrived, his guide stopped at an unmarked door, a silver panel embedded beside it. No names, no titles, just a blinking sensor that scanned him before the door slid open, revealing a sleek, dimly lit room. Here, there was no mistaking where he was. Vesla Group's inner sanctum, the nerve center where technology's invisible grip on society was forged and refined. Inside, a man in a sleek grey suit was waiting, his face unreadable, his eyes fixed on Zach with an intensity that felt almost predatory. Beside him, a sleek black screen displayed Gabriel's logo, a stylized eye with wings. "Mr. Martin," the man said smoothly, "thank you for coming. My name is Donovan. I oversee Gabriel's ethical operations." He gestured for Zach to sit. "We wanted to speak with you about the signal." Zach sat cautiously, his mind racing as he tried to read Donovan's intentions. "I'm not sure what you mean by that." Donovan gave a faint smile. "We've been monitoring your community, Mr. Martin. Ever since your son's birth, people have been flocking to you, talking about reconnecting, finding truth and meaning. We've detected a pattern in their behavior. You may not realize it, but these people you're drawing, they're shifting the system, destabilizing it." "Destabilizing," Zach said, bristling. "They're just looking for hope, for something real." Donovan leaned forward, his gaze sharpening. "Gabriel doesn't distinguish between hope and subversion. People have started discussing alternatives to the system, to the government's authority. We can't ignore that. You are a focal point, Zach." Zach was silent, his mind reeling. "So, you're here to shut me down? To stop people from believing in something?" Donovan tilted his head, as if considering. "Not necessarily. We're interested in why people are drawn to you. The Gabriel system has flagged a phenomenon around your son, a kind of invisible resonance, if you will. Every person who encounters John shows measurable changes in neural patterns. They walk away with less fear, a stronger sense of purpose. Gabriel's algorithms can't make sense of it. They think it's a threat, but I see something different." Zach held his breath, studying Donovan. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying that we're standing on the edge of something we don't fully understand," Donovan replied, his voice low. "I've been watching Gabriel's outputs, and it's as if John is signaling something ancient, something in people that can't be controlled or monitored. I don't know if it's faith or memory or some kind of primal recognition, but people sense it, and it scares Gabriel. It scares the system because it can't own it." Zach's mind raced, trying to process the implications. "So, you're going to let us go?" Donovan's expression turned serious. "For now, but I need you to understand that Gabriel, it won't stop. The system will continue tracking you, adapting, attempting to neutralize anything it perceives as a threat. If you keep influencing people, they'll escalate. They'll do whatever it takes to keep control." Zach felt a cold fear settle over him. "Why are you telling me this?" Donovan's eyes softened, his voice dropping to a near whisper. "Because I used to believe in something too, something that couldn't be coded, predicted, or controlled. Maybe this signal your son carries. Maybe it's what I've been waiting to see. Maybe it's what we've all been waiting for, and Gabriel is just the latest thing trying to keep it hidden." Donovan reached into his pocket and pulled out a small data chip, sliding it across the table to Zach. "This chip has information on Gabriel's primary server locations, blind spots in its surveillance network. If you need to disappear, or if you decide to do something bigger, this will help." Zach took the chip, his heart pounding as he realized the enormity of what Donovan was giving him. "One more thing," Donovan said, standing. "Your son is going to grow up in a world where everything is monitored, analyzed, quantified. But what he represents, it's beyond any of that. Protect him. Protect the people who see what he brings out in them. They'll be needed. Zach nodded, standing to leave, but he paused, looking Donovan in the eye. Thank you. Don't thank me, Donovan said, his voice soft. Zach returned to his quiet town that night, snow falling in thick, silent drifts. As he walked through the empty streets, he thought about what Donovan had said. A signal. He could feel it now, pulsing beneath the fear and tension, a message growing stronger and clearer. It was a reminder that there were parts of the human soul that could never be measured, never owned, never coded. And his son was a reminder of that truth, a flare in the dark, calling people back to what they were meant to be. He entered his house, where Beth sat by the fire with John in her arms, and he held them close. He knew without a doubt that everything was about to change, and that he would need every ounce of faith, strength, and courage to protect them. Because Gabriel was watching, and the system would not let go without a fight.